What is up, everyone? JD here. Hope you're doing well today. Today I'm bringing you my full review of the Kizer Cormorant. Shout out to David. Thank you, brother, for sending this in and letting me have a look at it. I really appreciate it. I don't know that I necessarily would have picked this one up myself, so I'm very grateful that you sent it in so I can check it out. What we'll be doing today is going through knife specs. We'll do some size comparisons to help you for a frame of reference, and we'll go ahead and jump into my thoughts and impressions for this knife. So let's kick it off. The Cormorant XL has a 3.5-inch 3V blade, 4.53-inch G10 handles. Overall length is 8.3 inches, and claimed weight is 3.7 ounces. I'm going to grab the scale and bring the scale on out here so that we can check that claimed weight. So right on the money, 3.7. Love to see it. I am going to really quickly just take some quick measurements because I did have an issue with the measurements that were coming out on this particular knife. So hopefully you'll be able to see that. We'll go right to left because it looks like that's working a little bit better. I got to angle it just a little bit. So claimed 3.5-inch blade. Yep, that seems about right. Right around 3.5 inches. And what did I say? 4.53-inch handles. Line that up. Yep. So those seem to be about right. I think depending on what website I checked on would have a impact on the size, and I've seen that some of these websites don't necessarily have the correct information out there. So let me go ahead and do some size comparisons. What we'll be bringing out first is the Demco AD 20.5. As you can see, the Cormorant is a little bit bigger, but not by much. Then I'll go ahead and bring out the Spyderco Shaman. And the Shaman, as you can see, is just a bigger knife. A little bit, not by much. This one I would say probably actually is in between the two of them, to be fair. Let me go ahead and move these out the way, and I have a couple other comparison knives I'm going to bring out here. First, we'll bring out the Benchmade Bug Out. You can see the bug out is just a little bit smaller overall, and then we'll bring the Hogue Sig K320 out here, which is actually, I'm going to say, looks to be just a hair bigger, not by much, just a little bit bigger. Let's move these two out of the way, and what do you say we bring out a couple of budget knives? I think I have here the Vosteed Raccoon, which should be a little bit smaller, just a little bit, and then the Civivi Conspirator. And the Conspirator looks like it's just a little bit bigger. Yep. What we'll do is some thickness profile comparisons. We'll use the Raccoon since it's kind of in between. I'll alternate the knives that I'm using here for the comparison. So let's see here. Looks like, well, let me try it this way. Having a little bit of trouble here. I would say, man, they look really close. I'd say that's probably about even. We will bring out the Bug Out since it has the contoured scales. What do you say? Trying to hold the contoured. You can see the Bug Out's a little bit thinner. And then for the last one, since we're alternating, is going to be the Shaman, and it's about the same thickness as the Shaman. The reason I like to do that, I like to have the size references so that you get an idea of the length, but also I think the thickness will let you know how chunky or thin it'll feel in hand, and you know how it's going to kind of carry in the pocket. Let's go ahead and jump into the Ergos. So for me, it's comfortable, but it is a little bit of an odd shape to it. So back here where it kind of feels like it's thinner up here where you choke up, and this feels kind of like where my smock is as far as how I hold it, and it feels chunkier back here. So it's a little bit of a unique handle characteristic, but there's not necessarily any hot spots, so to speak. The pocket clip on here is really well done. It is reversible, nested in scales. You do have screws that are slightly proud, but really it's so nested in there, it really doesn't matter. It goes in and out of the pocket nicely. Grippy G10, so this is really grippy in hand. Very, very comfortable Ergos. It has jimping back here behind where it scallops up, So really good for detailed work. It also, if you want more control, has jimping out here on the edge, which I really like this. This is a very comfortable grip for me. And then you can even go way out on the tip so that you can get out there. Now, one of the things that I've had to start doing here recently, and because this is not my knife, is just kind of doing a little spine whack to see how strong the lockup is. And just like my Kizer K, locked up solid, no concerns whatsoever. Let's go ahead and jump into the action before we jump into the blade. Actually, I'm gonna take that back. Let's go ahead and jump into the blade, then we'll get into the action. So the Cormorant has a really well done hollow grind. It is super thin behind the edge. Now, because I didn't get this brand new from the factory, when I got it in, it had been used a little bit. It was tearing the paper as opposed to slicing through it, so I did strop it just a little bit. I did 8 on either side because 3V is such a tough steel that it takes a little bit more stropping, in my experience, to get it to hone quickly, or correctly, not quickly, sorry. And it's slicing pretty good. Now, I didn't want to do a whole bunch of testing, so I'll grab that piece of cardboard I had out here earlier. It's not really my knife. He did say I could cut with it, but as you can see, the hollow grind goes straight through the materials. No problems whatsoever, and that's a pretty thick piece of cardboard. So nice edge, really slicey hollow grind. Now let's jump into the action. This one here, out of the 2 he has sent me, has my favorite sounds. Take a listen to this. So I'm going to change the mic of the angle of the mic. Listen to this. Really cool sounds when you hold the button down and just let it drop and bounce, and even when you don't. Sounds really cool. I like the sounds on it a lot. I'm going to move the mic back so you guys can hear me okay. So really cool sounds. As far as deployment methods, this has probably just as many deployment methods as my Nimble X. That's the first thing that came to mind when I thought about this, that has all the different means of deployment and being able to deploy the knife. Really easy to deploy this. You have the smoothest. Now we're going to get into that in a second with the button. It is really smooth. I think I can do pretty much, I think I can, no I can't, catches the flipper. Unlike a true front flipper, can't quite get all the tricks out of this one. Everything on here otherwise though, far as how it deploys, works really well. The way the liners are set into the G10, I think it amplifies it to have the best sounds. My one issue is with the button. The button sits really proud on this knife. There you can see it's really standing proud. I mean, it is really easy to connect into it. When you go to squeeze on the knife, you have to be cognizant of where you're putting your hand. You got to come over top of the button and squeeze, and make sure your finger's to the inside of it, just to make sure that you miss it. And it takes very little to disengage that. So you see where it is normally and versus where the button comes out. I wish they would have recessed it a little bit into the G10. I think it would have been a little bit better. Outside of that, the jimping for the flipper is really nice. Catches the thumb nicely. The jimping for the flipper tab is also really nice. And the cutout, I actually think it has just enough sharpness to it. Lord have mercy, I'm stumbling over my words today. Has just enough sharpness to it to catch your finger and your thumb for the deployment. So it is a very fidgety knife, very good weight to it. And the Ergos, you know, they're comfortable. There's no hot spots. It's just, if it to me, it's a little weird that it scallops down or shrinks down as you get closer to the inside of the knife. I think it would have been better if they could have maintained that same thickness all the way throughout. It just feels like it. You see how it's going down here. You can even feel the hump as you ride across. When you get right to that first X, starts to drop down on it. So I kind of wish that they would not have done that. All in all, though, would I recommend this knife? For me, the design is not really speaking to me, but if you like this design and you like the way that the knife looks and the characteristic of the knife, it seems like it's pretty well made. I cannot deny it. Again, it is not a new knife. It's someone's knife that they've loaned into me, so I don't know how much wear and tear it had on it. It had just a hint of play, and again, the edge just needed to be touched up. It wasn't abused. It just needed a little bit of a touch up, and I'm not going to be testing the 3V. I have 3V on my Kizer Sheepdog, and it really is tough, and it holds a good edge. So based off of that experience, because they're the same manufacturer, I'm going to say that 3V is a good steel. I don't know about the heat treat though. But overall, for me, I think I'd probably pick a different knife, but it's not going to be too many out there that are going to be just as fidgety. For me, I'd probably go with at least the Conspirator because it has the 2. I just like the design language on the Conspirator a little bit better, and the micarta. I like the micarta better than the G10. The G10, though, I'm going to be honest with you, is going to be better for you if you're looking for something that you're working with more often than not, because you're going to get better grip with the G10, and it's going to be less susceptible to any type of staining or anything like that. But overall, it's a cool little knife. I appreciate you, David, sending this in and letting me take a look at it. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, leave a like. Consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed. I don't know why you wouldn't be. Thank you to everyone out there that is subscribed. I appreciate each and every one of you. Oh, I hope all of you have a fantastic week, and until next time, peace.